Hi, Church Streeters. Pastor Palmer here. I wanted to go over some of the protocols that we have received from Bishop Dindy Taylor, the Bishop of the Holston Annual Conference. On June 1st, we received a protocol about what reopening in person and having in-person worship will look like in our current pandemic. And so even before that, our own parish health team, along with staff and other leaders in our church, have been working since April to prepare a plan for gathering in worship. And so as we consider the scientific data available to us, the protocols that must be instituted per the bishop's guidelines, and also our biblical mandate to care for one another as we care for ourselves, I want to share a few of these details with you. Now, if you remember a survey that was sent out in May, over 350 people in our church family have responded, and we're pleased that you too are encouraging of a thoughtful, data-driven return to our time together. At this time, the bishop has permitted kind of COVID committees at churches to explore and prepare for a return to in-person worship. And we're doing just that, using a great deal of care, caution, and science. And so once we have all of the protocols in place, and those are approved by our district superintendent, and as long as we, the leadership of Church Street, feel confident that new cases of the virus are trending downward for a prolonged period of time, then we will be able to regather again. So some of the protocols and modifications of our service include the following. And that's avoiding any physical contact. So no handshakes, hugs, kissing, elbows, or fist bumping. Also, you have to wear a cloth or paper mask in public spaces. And yes, that does include during our worship time together. We'll also ask to honor 6 feet of physical distance between households in our worship services. And one way that we will be doing that is by seating households with 2 pews of space between each household. We'll be initiating a reservation system as well and tracking those who come to worship. And the reason for this is that suppose someone tests positive for coronavirus after having worshiped in our space, then we need to be able to provide the health department with a list of everyone who is in worship so that their contact tracers can get to work in making sure that this disease does not spread further than is necessary. And also our seating capacity is going to be less than 50% of the nave. We'll also be asking you to enter through the Welcome Center or through Henley Street, and that's to limit foot traffic. But the good side is you get to see these marvelous windows and the beautiful Welcome Center that we so love. Finally, I know this is a hard one for our church family, but there will be no congregational singing or choir. And that is temporarily suspended. It's not a permanent change, but singing is a super spreader of these germs, and so we want to take extra precautions. We also will stop the passing and touching of shared objects. You think the offering plates, Bibles, hymnals, bulletins will be disposed of after worship. We won't have friendship pads, and it also will affect our sacraments like communion and baptism. But to make all of this happen, we have to have a cohort of trained volunteers and ushers to help us make sure that we meet all of these protocols and protect one another. So it seems like a lot. And it is. But not all of these changes are long-term. And they truly will help us care for one another as Jesus taught us to do. And so I invite you to review the entire plan, which is available on our website, but also keep in mind that it's a living document and things will evolve as our data evolves and as our knowledge does. But for now, the good news. Church continues. As I said, from the beginning of this pandemic, ministry continues, mission work continues, praying continues, and our outreach to one another continues, even if it does look and feel a little bit different. And so while we don't envision these restrictions to be long-term, this pandemic has changed the way that many of us think about our health, our public health, and how we care for our neighbors. And that's a very powerful charge to witness in both our community and globally. And so at Church Street, we're proud to be a part of that. And while we don't have a specific date for our return yet, know that we are steadily working to achieve the protocols necessary to be together again. We need your help. Thank you for being part of this church family.